Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hello once again, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Google webinar, Bringing the Power and Control of Search to Display. My name is Tali Berdecki, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager for the Google Display Network. With me today is Meredith Zolnowski, a regional display expert. During the Q&A, we'll also be joined by another display expert, Tony Chang. Before we get started, I want to run through a few housekeeping items. First of all, if you can't see, please make sure you've enabled pop-ups in your browser. Second of all, if at any point during the webinar you can't hear us, go ahead and refresh your browser. That should fix the problem. Third, throughout the webinar, please send any questions you have through the Q&A box. We will save time at the end of the webinar to take your questions. At the end of the webinar, you will also see a survey. Please fill it out. It helps us continue to improve our webinars. Finally, within a week, we will send out a link to a recording of the webinar if you want to refer back to it or share it with others. We will also try to aim a few minutes early before the hour is up. Now on to the agenda. We'll start today with a quick overview of display advertising and how it can be used to complement your existing search campaigns. We'll then dive into our new and improved keyword contextual targeting solution, which we've recently developed to make it easier for you to launch contextual campaigns and manage them more efficiently. Finally, we'll walk through new tips and best practices to apply when using keyword contextual targeting. As I mentioned before, we'll have Q&A at the end of the presentation based on the questions you submit throughout the webinar. Now let's get started. As everyone knows, Internet usage continues to accelerate at a rapid pace. In Australia, for example, the average person is now spending the equivalent of 48 days per year online. With more screens around us, mobile, tablet, PC, faster Internet access, and the rise of social media and online video, we as consumers now have unprecedented access to information. With this level of access to information, people are getting more sophisticated in their research, and the web is becoming a critical starting point for influencing how consumers buy. 4 out of 5 people go online for their research, not just for major purchases, such as cars and mortgages, but for everyday purchases, such as food or household items. In fact, the average consumer today uses about 10 different sources of information before making a purchase decision. And now that consumers have their smartphones or tablets with them nearly everywhere they go, they're conducting research and making purchase decisions on the go. In fact, 89% of smartphone users use their mobile devices for research. Finally, blogs and user review sites now heavily influence consumer behavior, and 1 in 4 search results for the world's top 20 brands are actually links to user-generated content. So where does Google come in? Google's mission is to make the web work for you, and to do this primarily in 3 ways. 1, we help you win moments that matter by engaging billions of people in the right context with personalized experiences. 2, we help you make better decisions by giving you access to unique customer, industry, and performance insights. And 3, we give you the tools and technology that help you go bigger, faster. We'll talk about the updates to our contextual targeting solution in this context today. We'll share how the new contextual targeting solution helps you reach your audience at the right time with even more precision. We'll also talk about the new Display Network tab, the place in your AdWords account that gives you actionable information about how various keywords are performing on the Google Display Network, and how you can use the data there to optimize your campaigns. Finally, we'll run through a few tools that will help you scale your performance. Let's talk about display for a moment. With better technology, more sophisticated audience buying, and more ways to connect, display is increasingly becoming an essential part of every marketer's toolkit. Display ads help you influence consumers across the web in several ways. They help you drive customers to your website, reach them on their mobile devices, engage them with video, connect with them on social media, and reinforce your brand message across the entire web. Display helps you do all of these things on its own. What's exciting is that display advertising also serves as an excellent complement to your search campaign. Search and display have always had a great relationship. Going back to 2009, numerous studies have shown that after being exposed to display ads, users are more likely to search for products, visit websites, and recognize brand terms than those not exposed to display ads. The consumer funnel takes users along a journey: awareness, favorability, consideration, intent to purchase, and finally, purchase. Display works at all stages of the funnel, bringing new prospects in, while search works on the lower funnel, targeting those that already show interest. After running a display campaign, companies see an average 32% increase in website traffic. Display also increases brand recognition and recall. After seeing a display ad, customers are 33% more likely to search for your brand. Finally, combining a display campaign with search improves the likelihood a user will make a purchase by an incremental 8%. For the next 30 minutes, my colleague will walk you through some of our newest and most exciting features of the Google Display Network. She'll also share tips around how to use these features to get the best performance from your campaigns. With that, I'd like to introduce Meredith Solnowski. Meredith is a regional display specialist overseeing the Asia-Pacific markets.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to share some exciting innovations we've been working on that we think will help both grow your business and drive ROI for you and your clients. The Google Display Network is much more than your traditional ad network. It reaches between 80 to 90% of Internet users, depending on country, across a vast publisher network, which is made up of inventory from AdSense publishers, the DoubleClick Ad Exchange, and all of Google's owned and operated properties like YouTube, Blogger, and Gmail. With cutting-edge technology, we've been able to bring a lot of features that make search so accurate and efficient and apply them to display buying. Some of you may not know that the Google Display Network has full transparent reporting functionality, real-time bidding, advanced auto-optimization tools, and now keyword-level targeting. With these advanced features, it's becoming faster and more efficient to reach a broader audience with your specific messaging. Today, we'll review one of the ways that you can use the Google Display Network to achieve your marketing goals using keyword contextual targeting. As many of you know, contextual advertising basically means showing a user an ad that's contextually related to the type of content they're viewing. It gives you an opportunity to speak to your audience at that exact moment that they're reading or thinking about the content related to your product or service. Timing makes a big difference. New studies reveal that relevancy really does matter. More specifically, knowing what someone is reading about at a given moment is a strong indicator of their state of mind. Interscope Research recently released a study that examined people's emotional and cognitive responses to different types of display ads by monitoring biometric responses. Using heat mapping, the study concluded that people fixate on ads that are contextually relevant to what they're reading about 15% more than with unrelated ads. They also found that contextually relevant ads elicit an emotional response that's almost twice as high as those without. The importance that relevant has to a consumer helps explain why keyword contextual targeting is a core part of the Google Display Network strategy for most of our customers. I'm really excited to walk you through one of the biggest updates we've made to our contextual engine ever. Since we launched contextual targeting in 2003, we have used the content of the page to choose an ad. Now, we are analyzing those websites on the keyword level using the same algorithm that powers Google search. Our improved engine better understands the meaning and context of websites so it can place your ads more precisely with relevant content. Targeting at the keyword level also enables us to show you more granular reporting. Now you have complete transparency into how each keyword is performing, the volumes they are delivering, and how much they are costing. Now, before this change, you could see how an ad group was performing, but have no idea which keywords were driving conversions and which ones were dragging down performance. With this change, you can surgically fine-tune your campaigns by increasing bids on high performers, decreasing or pausing low performers, and adding new keywords based on these new insights. Now that our contextual engine targets on the keyword level, just like search, you can easily copy and paste your existing search campaigns onto display with only minor changes. This simple step alone cuts down campaign setup time significantly for most advertisers, in fact by about 50% or more. Next, I'm going to walk you through our new best practices and give you some insider tips on how to manage your campaign. As we already mentioned, the next generation keyword contextual targeting allows you to target and optimize on the keyword level. With this launch, we have several new best practices I'll cover in the following sections. These tips will be split up into two sections. First, setting up for success. Second, optimization tips, including increasing volume, reducing costs, and auto-optimizing. Let's start with ways that you can set up your campaign for success. Our first tip is to run display-only campaigns so you get more control and flexibility. There are two types of campaigns that you can set up to run keyword contextual targeting. One type is a hybrid campaign, meaning campaign settings target the search and display network. The other type of campaign you can create is simply a display network only campaign, meaning that it targets the display network only. So how should you decide which type of campaign to set up? If you would like to actively manage display campaigns and optimize at the keyword level, we suggest you create a display network only campaign. The main benefit to a display network only campaign is that it allows changes to be made without impacting search performance. Keep in mind that with hybrid campaigns, that is search and display, you won't be able to edit keywords on the display network tab. And I have to say that in my 4 years of experience working across SMB, large advertisers, and agencies, the display-only campaigns are definitely a best practice and preferred by and large by clients who, again, are looking to maximize efficiencies through controls and optimization. Now just take a look at keywords for a new campaign. One of my personal favorite new features that I want to highlight is the copying of search campaigns onto display. And I do want to draw your attention to this point for a moment because it is a clear departure from previous best practices. Now that we can target at the keyword level, you can either create new campaigns for display from scratch or copy over your best performing search campaigns. If you decide to copy over your search campaigns onto display, note that all keywords will run as broad match, so you may want to scrub them and make sure you don't have different match types. We suggest that you use AdWords Editor when copying search campaigns into the display network. AdWords Editor allows you to make bold changes to your account. If you are used to optimizing in spreadsheets, you can download keyword stats in the AdWords front end through our download feature, make changes in the spreadsheet, and then upload via AdWords Editor. At this time, keep in mind you will not see keyword stats for display keywords in Editor. The only way to see it is through the AdWords front end. This will be changing in the coming months, so stay tuned for future updates. In addition to copying search campaigns, you can also build campaigns from scratch. You may want to do this because there will be cases when you want to run on keywords for the display network that we wouldn't advise running on strategically in the search network, like for instance adding more generic keywords or running in related contextual environments. For instance, if you advertise for flowers on Valentine's Day, you may want to run on the keyword chocolates on the display network. However, it wouldn't make much sense to run on chocolates for search. To build keyword lists, we recommend using the contextual targeting tool. The contextual targeting tool allows you to input keywords and quickly build campaigns with similar keywords. It can be found in the Tools and Analysis tabs of the AdWords interface. Now, let's take a quick look at bidding. When building new campaigns, there are several different bidding strategies you can use to help achieve your advertising goals. If you have a hybrid search and display campaign, we suggest using the new display network bid. This is the only way to set a separate bid from search for the display network if running on both networks in the same campaign. You can set the display network bid on the Ad Groups tab of any campaign running in the Google Display Network. For those of you with separate display campaigns, since we are now targeting at the keyword level, just like on search, you can now bid by individual keywords. In order to take advantage of bidding at the keyword level, your ad group must not have a display network bid, which you can now see on the ad groups tab of the slide that we've got shown in front of you. Setting up and modifying individual display keywords is as simple as managing bids for keywords on search. They can be both individually or bulk edited through AdWords Editor or on the display keyword section of the Display Network tab in the AdWords front end. We recommend using the contextual targeting tool for bidding suggestions. And keep in mind that any additional bid modifiers, like changes for ad scheduling, for example, are applied after your primary bid is chosen. We also offer you the ability to set a desired cost per click or cost per action, which I'll refer to as CPC or CPA during this training. And you can use those in particular with our automated bidding tools, but I'll get to that just a little bit later. To summarize, you now have more controls at your fingertips no matter how you've structured your campaign. And ultimately, it's up to you to decide which is best to help you achieve your goals. As the golden rule, we recommend adding display network bids only for campaigns targeting both the search and the display network. And we recommend taking advantage of the new keyword level bidding for campaigns targeting the display network only. Speaking to optimization, you might find this interesting. We recently compared the types of advertisers using keyword contextual targeting and classified them based on how many optimizations they were making per week to their campaigns. Frequent optimizers, or our power users, made about 30 changes per week, while infrequent optimizers made between 0 to 1 change per week. Now next, you should see a poll pop up on your screen. Can anyone guess the difference in conversion volume comparing the power users to the infrequent optimizers? Was the conversion volume of the power users half, equal, double, or triple that compared to the second group? Wow, it looks like most of you said either double. Looks like most of you said either double or triple that of the second group. Well, for those of you that answered double, you're absolutely correct. The results showed that optimized accounts achieved 2 times the conversion volume at 30% lower cost compared to infrequent optimizers. The point is, if you want to maximize your digital investment, you should be actively managing your display campaigns in the same way I'm sure you do with search campaigns. In the next sections, I'll walk you through the types of changes and optimizations these successful advertisers use to improve their performance. Now that we've shown you how to ultimately set your campaigns for success, let's dig into how to optimize for them. First, to optimize for success, you'll need to be able to increase your campaign's volume or decrease the cost to maximize efficiency. The 2 main tactics you can employ to increase volume are modifying keywords and increasing keyword bids, similarly to how you might be used to managing ad groups under the old contextual targeting. Adding keywords into your contextual ad groups will increase volume, just like with search campaigns. We recommend first identifying the highest performing keywords in your ad groups and then adding keywords like them using a contextual targeting tool mentioned earlier. Similar keywords will help ensure you get maximum reach and coverage on the keywords that are most valuable to you. In addition, if you add keywords that are more generic, you'll also end up receiving more traffic. The keyword shoes, for example, will get much more traffic and reach than a more specific keyword like basketball shoes. In the same vein, another way to add volume is by adding unique keywords or concepts. For example, if your ad group is full of the term sneakers, try adding the keyword shoes to reach different publisher pages. To ensure full coverage and reach, include keywords focused on brand terms, product terms, complementary terms, and comparative product terms. The other way to increase volume is to increase bids. By bidding more aggressively, keywords become more competitive in the ad auction, resulting in more impressions. It's important to note that if you are increasing bids, make sure to always be conscious of how it impacts ROI. There may come a point where you are overbidding on keywords and see diminishing returns. In order to avoid this, we recommend always checking in on ad group impression share in the AdWords front end to see if there is more volume available via bidding. We don't, however, have keyword level impression share at this time, but ad group impression share level is more than sufficient to assess volume opportunities. Another way to increase volume is to add dynamic keyword insertion ads to your contextually targeted campaign. Dynamic keyword insertion takes the keyword used for targeting and inserts it into the text of your ad creative. Since we are now targeting at the keyword level, dynamic keyword insertion makes text ads immediately relevant to your user's content and can improve performance. Using this feature is a quick way to increase click-through rate and maximize conversions. For implementation, again, we recommend using AdWords Editor. Similarly, again, just like on search, you can now use keyword-level URLs with display keywords to send users to your most relevant landing pages. Particular verticals that benefit from this strategy include retail, local, and travel. One client in local saw that adding destination URLs to send users to the most relevant pages on their website led to a large increase in conversion volume. Here we want to highlight one of our customers who used these optimization levers to really improve the overall performance of their display campaign. ModCloth sells vintage women's clothing online and had been using contextual advertising for a few years. Once they learned about keyword-level bidding, they immediately started changing bids, adding new keywords, and testing the performance of different creatives on different websites. In 9 weeks, they turned their contextual campaign into one of the highest performers and increased click-through rates across the board. In the previous section, we outlined tactics to increase volume in your contextually targeted campaigns. Now, in this next section, we'll cover optimization techniques to help reduce costs and improve your overall return on investment. For those of you that manage GDN campaigns, most of the strategies that we'll discuss look quite similar to existing best practices. In particular, those around excluding placements and bid management. Starting with site exclusions, within AdWords, we will show any site that gets a keyword contextual click via the automatic placements found on the placement section of the display tab. With this insight, you can drop bids on placements that are converting higher than your ideal CPA, or exclude sites where the CPA is too high. To decrease CPA, you can also lower bids on poor performing keywords. For example, you could lower bids on keywords that are converting but are at too high of a CPA. Another way to reduce costs is to perform testing on a portion of your campaign's traffic before implementing changes. AdWords Campaign Experiments, or ACE, is a free split testing tool that makes it easy to test and precisely measure the impact of changes to your AdWords campaign. This tool lowers the risk of major strategy changes and lets you specify the amount of budget to divert to the experimental campaign. This means that you can run experiments with just 10%, 20%, or 30% of your budget. Lastly, when bidding down on keywords doesn't resolve performance issues, a quick way to improve your CPA is by pausing keywords that are costing money and not converting. We wanted to share another example of one of our advertisers who successfully implemented these optimization strategies. eDreams, a travel booking website, wanted to reduce their costs but maintain their current conversion volume. The strategy they took was copying their high-performing search campaigns onto the Google Display Network using AdWords Editor. Then, over the next 2 weeks, using our new keyword-level performance reports, they were able to identify which keywords were converting and which weren't, and modified bids accordingly. In 2 weeks, they were able to reduce their costs by 26% while maintaining their current conversion volume. This is another great example of why you should optimize your campaigns. After you've optimized your keywords and are looking to fine-tune performance further, as the next step, we suggest using automated tools. This can ultimately help reduce your CPA and save you time and resources. Keep in mind that all of these require conversion tracking to be implemented, so you'll need to set that up to take advantage of these auto optimization tactics. The first two tools, Enhanced CPC and the Conversion Optimizer, are auto bidders. The first, eCPC, modifies your bidding to improve your chances of gaining conversions based on your cost per click goals. The second, Conversion Optimizer, automates your bidding based on your CPA goals and requires that your campaign has 15 conversions per month in order to be eligible. When deciding between which auto bidder to use, keep in mind that third-party bidders work with eCPC but not Conversion Optimizers. So if this is a requirement for you, you should definitely go with eCPC over Conversion Optimizer. The third tool is a fully automated solution that not only modifies your bidding on existing targeting, but also scans our network to find you additional conversions at your desired CPA. This tool, Display Campaign Optimizer, we're going to highlight in this next case study. So this is really an example of how Display Campaign Optimizer worked for Dale Carnegie Training, a learning and development company. Dale Carnegie was coming up on its 100-year anniversary and was looking for an efficient way to expand their reach globally in a short period of time. They tested DCO on 2 accounts, one that was performing well and another one that was lagging. The results of the test proved that both use cases for DCO were successful. The low-volume campaign saw a 308% increase in conversion volume, and the high-volume campaign experienced a 101% rise in volume, while both maintained a steady CPA. If you have a contextual campaign running that has 15 conversions per month, we strongly suggest testing DCO and letting it run for a few weeks. 89% of advertisers maintain their target CPA when implementing DCO, making it a great way to find additional cost-effective conversions. We've gone through a lot of optimization tactics and new features. And if you're going to take anything away from this webinar, please remember these points when you're using keyword contextual targeting on the Google Display Network. First, split your campaigns into separate search and Google Display Network campaigns. This gives you control to manage and bid both campaigns without affecting the other's performance. Install conversion tracking. Not only does it help with measurement, it lets you opt into our auto bidding and optimization tools. To increase volume, add more keywords, and increase bids on high performers. Now that we target on the keyword level, you can use 2 new features that you probably use on search today: keyword insertion and keyword level URLs. These are both highly recommended to increase conversions. To reduce your costs, pause or lower bids on poor performing keywords. And finally, take advantage of our auto optimization tools. They can save you a lot of time and improve your overall performance. With these changes, there are a lot of questions that we get from our advertisers, and there are a couple that come up over and over again, which you see on the slide in front of you. The first of which is, will placement performance reports, relative CTR, and impression share be at the keyword or the ad group levels? So for now, the placement performance report, relative CTR, and impression share will be at the ad group levels. You will need to use the Display Network tab to view all of your keyword level data. Next, and this one we get quite a bit, both from our clients in addition to individuals internally at Google, is should duplicate keywords be removed? Keep in mind that having duplicate keywords in your account won't affect performance. It will simply distribute the performance across those duplicate instances of those keywords. And tracking performance over duplicate keywords will be difficult. So for an accurate performance analysis, it's better not to have duplicates. And the best part about this is that directly within AdWords Editor, there's a tool that you can use to dedupe all of your keywords.
Thank you, Meredith. And thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. We will now move into the Q&A portion. If you do need to drop off at any point, please take 2 minutes to answer the survey that will pop up on your screen. The survey does help us continue to improve our future webinars, and we do read everything that you answer. So thank you in advance for completing that as well. We will take about 10 to 15 minutes worth of questions, so please continue submitting them. The first question, Tony, this one's for you. The first question, is having too many keywords in a single ad group a problem for display campaigns? Timothy, thank you for this question.
Yeah,
Tony,
sure.
over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a very good question. Currently, we only allow maximum 50 keywords per A group. So same as we have 50 keywords per A group when we have thematic A group. So if you have more than 50 keywords per A group, then we are going to randomly select 50 keywords for matching. So to answer your questions, yeah, that will be a problem if you have more than 50 keywords per A group. So we suggest you to split your A group per to meet this criteria. And in Q3, we are going to release these maximum numbers of 50 keywords per A group. So hopefully by the end of Q3, and we will announce these new features, and maybe we will especially have more than hundreds of keywords per A group. Then you will have more flexibility to create A group for KCT.
Okay, thanks, Tony. I'm going to ask you one more before we switch back to Meredith. This question is from Naveen. When will keyword level information be available to Malaysia/Asia?
Yeah, the keyword level information has been released to all customers, to all countries from April. So you should be able to see the keyword level stats in your account right now. If not, please reach out to your CSR, and they should be able to help you on this.
Okay, great. The next one goes to Meredith, also from Timothy. Should the keywords be more or less specific for display?
Hi, Timothy. That's a really good question. And ultimately, what you need to ask yourself is what strategy you're attempting to execute on the display network. What we do tend to recommend is absolute coverage over product and brand, and recognizing the fact that can get quite specific. But then what you're also going to want to think about on the Google Display Network is where is your audience online? What type of content are they looking at? And what type of content are they looking at within different parts of that purchase funnel? So going back to the example that I mentioned before during the webinar, and it's at Valentine's Day, right? And an advertiser is selling, I believe he was selling flowers. Now, he sells flowers, so he's probably got a lot of flower-related keywords, maybe generic flower keywords. He's got a couple of keywords around roses and tulips and different types of flowers that women like to receive. But he also knows that, individuals around Valentine's Day, when they're contemplating their purchasing options, are also going to be looking at things like chocolates and maybe stuffed teddy bears and other things that individuals buy for women on Valentine's Day. So that's an example of when he's going to have all of his product terms and all of his brand terms covered, but then he's also going to go a little bit more generic. So there's really no golden rule of thumb on this, but again, when you're looking at building your keyword list, try to make sure that you've got full coverage across that entire spectrum. All right, so we're going to answer another question, and this one is from Mark at Hotel Travel. So Mark asks, since keywords are still broad match, will women purse and purse for women be duplicate? Now, Mark, these actually won't be duplicate keywords in your AdWords account. You may see quite different performance, although those keywords may seem similar. The way the system works is it's really going to look at those keywords on their own merits. And for this instance, that addition of 4, maybe the order that the keywords appear in are really going to make a difference when it's doing that in-depth scan of the pages across the Google Display Network to make sure those ads are relevantly placed. So I would definitely make sure that when you're building and expanding those keywords, just like with search, you do have all of those different variations of those keywords, but you don't need to have them in different match types because as we mentioned before, all of those keywords on the display network are in broad match.
Thanks, Meredith. Okay, let's go back to Tony again. This question is from Amber. Tony, can we use keyword targeting and interest targeting at the same time?
Yes. You can use keyword targeting with any targeting type that we provide from AdWords. So you can use any combination for GDN to really target your users. And that's why we released a new interface for April. And this new interface can actually allow you to manage different targeting options at the same time more easily, more efficiently.
Okay, great. Now let's go to another one from Meredith from Duncan. If you have a campaign which has been running for years, combine search and display without conversion tracking, what is the best way to separate them into one search campaign and one display campaign without affecting the results?
Duncan, that's a really good question. This question actually takes me back to my days when I was a strategist helping clients in the financial services vertical actively manage their campaigns and do things just like this. So the best tactic that we would take is leaving the search campaign or leaving the display campaign and that display aspect in that campaign. Because display functions a little bit different than search does. The history that you acquire on the Google Display Network is housed at the campaign level. So that means if you were to copy that campaign and start a new campaign with display, there'd be a bit of a learning curve for that campaign, significantly more than if you took search out and put it in a new campaign. So if you've got that campaign again running for years and years and years, don't want to affect quality score. Bottom line is I would say leave display in that existing campaign and then create a new campaign for search. You should see a absolute minimal impact to the search performance. What I would say is that make sure that you manage your budget across those two campaigns because what I tended to see with some of my clients who did this, who didn't actively manage their budget, is that display would take off. It would get a lot more increased volume, increased clicks, increased impressions, increased conversion, so often a very positive thing. But you really have to be able to make sure that you're managing a budget across those two campaigns and make sure that you do that from the get-go as opposed to going back in later on.
Okay, Meredith, one more for you. When using different bidding types, how does AdWords know which bid to use?
Excellent question. With all of these new bidding options, which one does AdWords use? So the way the system works is that it goes from the most specific bid, therefore the highest priority, to the one of the least specificity. So the order of most to least, so first to last, is individual placement bid, then your topic bid, your interest category or your remarketing bid, then your display network bid, again, only if you've set one, then the individual keyword bid, and then finally the default ad group bid.
Thanks, Meredith. Okay, let's go back to Tony for a couple of questions. Tony, I'm concerned about the keywords all being treated as broad match. Do negative keywords function the same way? Can we use negative phrase match?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Regarding the broad match, as Meredith just mentioned that right now, at keyword level targeting on GDN, every keyword that we use for matching is broad match. But later in this quarter, we are going to we are actually testing a different match type at this moment. So later in this quarter, I think we are going to launch more type, match type, so that you can use another match type on GDN. But for the negative, keyword matching on GDN, right now it's broad match as well. So we are also thinking of launch negative phrase match in the future. So when we release this negative phrase match, we will let you know.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tony. Let's go back to Meredith again. And this question comes from Census. Meredith, many times I have come across that I have used high-performance keywords and also made sure that they are in my landing page for relevance. Yet when you check the campaign in AdWords, you see that the keyword has had many impressions, no clicks, and it says next to it, rarely shown due to low quality score. Why does it do that?
All right, thanks for that question. It sounds like this question pertains a little bit more to search than it does to display network, but since we do have keyword level reporting, definitely something to keep in mind when you are managing keyword level performance. So why you see the low quality score in that instance is twofold. First and foremost is the low click-through rate. When you have a large amount of impressions and a small amount of clicks, that click-through rate is really going to affect the quality score. And I know on search you see that within the first probably day to a week or so of that keyword running, on display network, quality score is even more important. So if you notice that with your ads are not getting any clicks at all, and in a large amount of impressions within the first, and by large I mean tens and thousands of impressions in the first couple hours and no clicks, you're definitely going to want to take a look at what you can do to optimize that campaign, because quality score will be a factor for you. So the other instance where that could be is sometimes for certain keywords on search, this doesn't necessarily apply to display, that the auction can be incredibly competitive. So they'll essentially be a benchmark for what your click-through rate will be. And if your click-through rate on search is a bit lower than that benchmark, that's where you might start seeing a little bit lower quality score, because compared to that market average, your performance isn't quite up to snuff. So if you've got a little bit more questions on this, I definitely recommend checking out some of the resources that we have in the Help Center, because they do an amazing job of highlighting all of the different factors that may influence quality score, in addition to all the tactics that you can take to help improve that. All right, one of the other questions from Julia is, do you find graphical banners would work better than text ads for the display ad network? Also a really good question that we get quite a bit. If you want to talk metrics, Julia, to be honest, banners nearly hands down get higher click-through rates. However, that being said, that doesn't mean text ads don't have their own merits as well. The Google Display Network, for instance, is one of the few networks that offer you the ability to optimize to clicks, impressions, and conversions with text ads. And the dynamic keyword insertion is definitely something that sets it apart. And globally on the Google Display Network, for those of you that target both domestically in your own countries and internationally, about 20 to 30% of our inventory is text only. So if you don't include text ads in your campaign, you're actually missing out on a pretty significant amount of volume and opportunity. So that being said, to kind of summarize, in my opinion, both display and text ads are highly important. They allow you maximum coverage and to get your message out to the audience in as many places as possible. You can also optimize them to make sure that whether it is display or text, that you're getting ideal performance, whether it is through click-through rate or conversion rate with either of the two ad formats.
Thank you, Meredith. Okay, so there are a number of questions in here about getting the deck and where the stats that we talked about earlier are from, and we will be sending this out afterwards. So I'm not going to go through all of them in detail in the Q&A session, but you will be able to look at them. They are all referenced and says if they're region-specific, world-specific, where they're from, etc. Tony, I have another question for you. Can the display campaign optimizer be used for view-through conversions or only conversions after the display ad is clicked? And this question comes from Kayla from Dealer Solutions.
Yeah, that's a very good question on DCO, Display Campaign Optimizer. Currently, Display Campaign Optimizer only works on the click-through conversions. Having said that, the view-through conversions is not the conversion that the DCO will try to optimize. But that has been a product request from other companies as well. So hopefully we will launch view-through conversions on DCO later this year.
Okay, great. Let's go back to Meredith. We'll take about 3 more questions. And for those of you whose questions we don't get to today, we will follow up with each of you afterwards. Meredith, this question comes from Natasha. Do display campaigns and search campaigns with one AdWords account interact in regards to conversion data? For example, impressions per conversion, etc.
Another really good question. The short answer is the two of those do not impact the performance of the either at all. However, there are a couple of really cool features with Google conversion tracking that you can actually use to extend the efficiencies of both your campaigns. So one of those, right within the interface where you set up your conversion tracking, is an advanced option to dedupe your view-through conversions from search. For those of you unfamiliar with what a view-through conversion or a post-view or post-view impression is it's essentially a conversion that occurs after someone sees the ad. So that means as opposed to a post-click conversion where someone clicks on the ad, goes to the website, and then converts. In this instance, someone sees the ad, does not click on it, does not go to the website in that instance, but then later at some point goes to the website and converts. So what you're able to do with that feature that I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago is you can actually discount all of the view-through conversions that ultimately result in someone doing a search on Google after having seen a display ad and then converting on a website. So just one more way, like I said, of again extending the efficiencies and that measurement that you're seeing within a campaign. It looks like there's another question from Performix about if the AdWords API supports the new feature. So I'll touch on this one as well. The current API will continue to work just as it always has. That means that you can add, change, pause and modified bidding on keywords. You won't be able to access GDN keyword level stats. So that's something that we're going to be working on integrating into the API in the second half of this year.
Okay, great. Let's take one more question for Tony, and then we will go ahead and wrap up. So Tony, this question comes from Dealer Solutions as well. There was a feature recently rolled out in Google AdWords for search, which automatically takes into consideration misspelled keywords, plurals, etc. Does display contextual targeting have a similar feature, or do you still have to manually add plurals and misspelled words?
Yeah, that's another good question. And thanks for focus on the search mesh type as well. So I believe you are talking about the new feature launch on exact match, which we made the exact match a little before, right? So for exact match, you don't need to add the misspelling or keywords or plurals keywords. However, as we mentioned earlier, on GDN, all the keywords that we use at this moment is full match. So you don't need to manually add plurals or misspelling keywords when you do keyword level targeting on GDN.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tony, and thank you everyone again for joining us for this webinar today. You'll see on the screen there are a couple additional resources we'd like to draw your attention to. The first one is a blog post where we announce the updates to our keyword contextual targeting system. And the second one is just a video where the PMs who created, the product managers who created this, describe what its advantages and talk about building it. Thank you again for attending. Please take a minute or two to fill out our survey, and we will see you next time.